Our very special guest this morning is Dr. Paul Lawrence. He is the VA Undersecretary here in the country. And one of the things that's disconcerting has been a number for a long time that I find to be just terrible is the 22 veterans a day committing suicide. Well, this person, Dr. Paul Lawrence, is a guy who is a top benefits man at the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. And he joins us here this morning to talk about how to prevent veteran suicide. Dr. Lawrence, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us this morning. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me, Gary, and thanks for caring about our veterans.
Yeah, we really do. And we always say, well, there's not enough that we can do for veterans, and there's not. But when you hear that 22 a day, and I don't know if that has risen, maybe you can give us some recent stats here from the COVID-19. Obviously, COVID-19 is not helping that number, I wouldn't think.
Well, certainly, it hasn't risen, and this is something that we're all focused on. As you know, the President has made caring for the veterans at the center of his administration, so that's what we're doing, is executing his vision. And dealing with suicide and the like has been our focus from the very beginning. We're doing a lot to make sure veterans receive attention during social isolation. The mental health teleappointments are up over 4 times in our hospitals. We started new programs for veterans to reach out to talk to them. And also, if anybody's listening to this, it's very important I give this number. This is the crisis line, 1-800-273-8255. If anybody's listening, thinks they're in crisis or knows somebody, this is manned 24 hours a day by real people. They'll talk to veterans. Could be as simple as a conversation or arranging for an in-person intervention to prevent people from traveling this journey. So it's something we're thinking intensely about and trying to gather national resources to stop the problem generally, but definitely for our veterans.
Dr. Lawrence, a lot of times people in general, and in this particular case, veterans specifically who come back who suffer from PTSD and other kinds of leftover things from serving in various theaters of action around the world, just don't know where to go. Now, you've obviously given a resource there with that phone number, but how do we get those people to be able to find out these things more readily? And we hear, unfortunately, about the number of homeless veterans in this country as well, which is also another sad statistic for another day. But that is a dilemma for a lot of people who just don't seem to be able to know where to go to find that kind of help.
Sure. Well, there's 2 things. Let me sort of give you the range. Our website, va.gov, has all the resources listed, but I know sometimes that can be overwhelming. In December, we started a new program called Solid Start, where we call new veterans 3 times during their first year as a veteran to talk to them about their relationship with the VA. It's an unstructured phone call where we connect with the veteran, and listen to what they want to talk about. Initially, we thought it would be a lot around mental health, but it's much more around how do I get my benefits, how do I access the resources exactly as you said. So if anybody's listening to this and there's a new veteran and they haven't been contacted in, say, the first 90 days, it's because we don't have your contact information. And it's important they reach out to us and let us know what their right contact information is. This has been a very well-received program. We follow up with emails and resources to try to answer the question you've exactly posed.
We have, fortunately in our area, we've got a really good, strong veterans program here in York County. Terry Gendron is our guy that does some great work here along with a lot of other people. And but I can't think of a more caring person to get out there and track down some of the problems that come up. What are some of the other problems that veterans generally are having in terms, you talked about accessing benefits, and obviously PTSD are big ones that we hear about every day. But, what other kind of things are you concerned about in terms of making sure that these people don't move in the direction of taking life?
Well, certainly the connectivity with us is one we care a lot about. So if you connect with us, again, they serve for a little while, but they'll be a veteran for life. So we want them to know VA is here for them. So it's very important, they reach out to us or take our call in case of Solid Start. We also track, to the extent we can, financial situations. So, for example, if you're a veteran, you can purchase a home through one of the benefits called the Home Loan Guarantee. No money down, purchase of home. We track to make sure our veterans don't fall behind in those payments, because we know financial distress is one of the signs of a potentially, traveling the journey we're talking about. So once we see that, we begin to talk to the veterans to understand, did you just miss a payment, or are you now in a difficult situation? And we try to, remedy that so that, that does not cause issues.
We're talking with Dr. Paul Lawrence, Veterans Administration Undersecretary. You're also hosting, I understand, a series of telephone town halls that are tailored to try to reach veterans across the country. And I know you've started with a specific number of states like Kansas, Iowa, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Virginia, North Carolina, and elsewhere. You're going to be doing that in coming weeks. But again, another way of trying to get out there and let people know that you're trying to get them into these town halls, right?
That's right. I used to travel a lot when we could travel, and part of what I would do in
Right.
addition to visiting our office was, go to like an American Legion post and engage veterans directly. Now I can't do that, of course, so we set up a teletown hall, open a line to veterans to call, ask questions. That's very important. So they ask me questions. I need to hear their issues. If I can, I'll try to solve them. If not, we have folks listening on the line from our team who will follow up and address their issues. So I think it's really important to listen to our veterans, to hear what's on their mind, and also to hear their problems because, we need to fix those. That's what we're here at the VA for. So you're right. So far I've done 12 of these, and I've talked to over 300,000 veterans, and I'm going to continue doing it probably forever, but certainly in the short term.
Dr. Lawrence, I had a friend who went to the hospital last week who had brain surgery, had a tumor removed, and he was not a veteran. But I got to thinking about this and getting ready for our interview today, and I thought, think about the veterans right now who are in the hospitals where you're isolated. I mean, you can't have family or friends in, and you're going through some pretty serious stuff. And veterans have, in many cases, because of combat and so forth, have the added burden of loneliness. And that's something to kind of figure into this whole equation as well. Am I correct?
Oh, absolutely, and I understand your friend's situation. My mother-in-law is going through the same thing. It's very hard not to be there with them. But I do know that in our hospitals, the Secretary talks about this all the time. He knows that veterans come to our hospitals because they know that the people there understand veterans, and that's very important. So, we know that. We know care has been adjusted for that. We understand the situation. We know how isolation works in this population. So we're really trying hard to deal with the very difficult situation we're all traveling through. If you do get in the hospital in an effort to keep it clean and safe, you're right, fewer people can visit. And we're even doing this, quite frankly, with our ceremonies at our cemeteries. There are smaller, they are just smaller now.
Right, and we're lucky in our area. We have the Lebanon VA Hospital, which does great work around here and has a great reputation. Again, Dr. Lawrence, just to kind of go back and review some places that people can go if you're a veteran out there and you're looking as far as benefits, as far as getting some help, phone numbers and websites. Can you kind of repeat that for them again, please?
Sure. If you want to know anything about the VA to include your benefits, you can go to va.gov. If you have a question about your benefits, you can call this number and talk to us, 1-800-827-1000. If you are in distress and need help or know somebody needs help, here's the crisis line, 1-800-273-8255. So those are the two big numbers I would ask people to do, and they're all over our website, and I'll be happy to talk to your team and give you some information that you can post on your social media.
Well, we really appreciate all that you're doing there, Dr. Lawrence. I appreciate you taking the time to be with us this morning. Continue good luck in the town halls that you're doing. The town